You are now tuned into the sounds of Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
Cut it off! I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood. Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time. I'm not in the mood to play with anybody. I mean,
this is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start
it's ridiculous. It's obvious what's being done out here. It's on a nightly basis. I hope the world can see now what's really going on out here, because it's getting ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. Yes, man. This is ridiculous, man. Ridiculous.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all staying safe. This episode, we are talking about the Baltimore Ravens. Before we get into that, there's a few things I want to say up front. After I record this episode, we're also talking about the Washington Commanders' loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. Also this week, the Maryland men's basketball team lost to Marquette. I forgot who they're playing this evening. And we'll recap that as well sometime this week. Maryland football, I know it's been a couple weeks since we last talked about them. They lost a couple weeks ago now. They lost to number 1 ranked Oregon. And now they lost to Rutgers this past Saturday. The only bright spot for this past week was the Maryland women's basketball team, as they're now 5-0 on the season so far, as they defeated the Towson Tigers. So be on the lookout for those videos. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe for all future content for the podcast. We're at 422 subscribers. Thank you for the support you're giving me in this channel. It's much appreciated. Okay. I'm going to try to be calm, cool, and collective as best I can. I'm not surprised that this was going to happen, but it happened. And if you watched the last episode, I talked about the Baltimore Ravens. It came into fruition. The final score: the Baltimore Ravens lost by 6 field goals on a Sunday where the defense actually did its job for the first time in the 11 weeks so far of this season. The Baltimore Ravens lost 18-16.
game over, yeah!
I think by default now, I think Pittsburgh, I stand by what I said on the post. I put it on Facebook about a week or so ago. Pittsburgh's going to win the AFC North. Baltimore is a good team, but I still don't think we've learned anything. I don't think anything has changed. At some point, you are who you are. I'm tired of hearing the same old drawn out stuff. This game was simply, as I put it, self-inflicted. We had multiple opportunities to win this game. We get on Lamar about, it's really not the Lamar, it's really the Ravens as a cohesive, as a unit, beating the Chiefs. Now, for some reason, you can't even beat your own divisional rival. I don't know what's not clicking. I mean, from penalties, lack of discipline, poor execution. I mean, just being like a day. I mean, just it did not. They just looked poor Sunday. I mean, that was the lowest scoring game of this season so far for them. I mean, they came into that game scoring almost 32 points a game, and were basically held to half of that. And we're going to get into the whole thing with Justin Tucker in a little bit, but if you paid attention last week, this offense, you're going to run into teams where we can't expect the offense to score 30, 40 points. And on top of that, again, like statistically, Lamar coming into this game has a career passing rating against Pittsburgh was 66, and that's the lowest against any other team. Now it's 1-4 as a starter. I can't defend that. I mean, okay. Let me do it like this. Positive. I'm gonna start with the defense. I really, really thought this was the first game where I actually was proud of the defense. Now, Marcus Williams was benched. And we're going to emphasize that more in just a second. But they looked a lot better, especially when it came, especially giving up big plays, especially pass. I mean, they did a good job keeping Pittsburgh out of the red zone. There were 4 possessions where Pittsburgh was in the red zone, especially there were 2 inside the Ravens 10 and failed to score. There was one point where it was 15-10 and Russell Wilson dropping back to pass, pocket run collapses, turns around, throws the ball. Marlon Humphrey intercepts the ball. You can't defend that. That was the worst pass of the game, and there should be no excuses for that. And then that was negated when Peyton Wilson somehow just yanked the ball to Justice Hill's hands when he came off that infamous, I call it the wheel route. And that was Lamar's 3rd interception of the season. I mean, we created pressure for Russ. He finished, was it 23 or 36, 205 yards. Adafio, we had 3 sacks. Our run defense, we really held them I think it was about 3 yards per carry. Had a 4th down stop. Again, this was probably the most complete game they've played. Again, I think when you play divisional rivals, be more physical. It definitely felt like that. Now, Roquan Smith did leave with a hamstring injury. Coach Harbaugh said that in the post presser Monday that there's not an update at the moment. Travis Jones, he dealt with an ankle injury. Kyle Hamilton at one point dealt with an ankle injury and a concussion. Eddie Jackson came in at one point during the game. That was something. And Tre'Davious White got a debut. Had a couple breakups on George Pickens. So, I mean, George Pickens had 8 catches for 89 yards. So they're doing anything spectacular. I mean, outside of that, that was pretty much the only positive throughout the game. But let's talk about the negative. I'm going to start with, let's just talk about it. Justin Tucker. I'm not going to put all the blame on Justin. There's from an all-pro kicker to having these problems, these missing all these now, that doesn't happen overnight. I firmly believe that it's as a unit. Understand something. This is Jordan Stout's second year. Nick Moore, as a long snapper, is coming off an injury from last year. You have to remember, Justin Tucker's been here for quite some time. When he came in, he had Morgan Cox, Sam Cook. Last year, he had Tyler Ott. I really think it's somewhere along the lines, we kind of have to look at Chris Horton and how fundamentally things are being done. I mean, we can talk about what Justin's doing in terms of technique, but sometimes I'm looking like, well, maybe it's Jordan. Maybe Jordan's not doing something right. Maybe it's how he's kind of holding the ball. Maybe he's kind of, setting him up for the kick. I to put all the blame on Justin, I think that's disingenuous. I think there's more to it. Now, in fairness, there were 6 points that were left on the field. The 47-yarder and the 50-yarder in the first half. That really killed us. But that's a what if. I don't know how the game would have looked had we have made those 2 field goals. But that's definitely missed opportunities. But again, he's been successful in that stadium. He's 31 out of 32 career-wise. Chris Boswell was 100%, 57-yarder. Now, Justin Tucker hit the 54. Kind of was 12-10. So it's something that, but between the 3 of them, something's not clicking. And I think for us to look at Justin Tucker and saying it's all, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to throw in the towel on Justin. Listen, just last year, great example. We were sitting here when we were playing the Lions and he bailed us out. We were talking about the greatest kicker of all time. Now all of a sudden we're calling him a washed up Matt Stover, and now we're saying he's cooked. I mean, if we had any other kicker on this roster, he's cut as of tomorrow. Billy Cundiff, respectfully, I mean, missed a game-winning field goal that would have got us to the Super Bowl, not the 2012 season, but the 2011 season against the Patriots. I really think that it's something fundamental-wise that the 3 of them, Nick Moore, Jordan Stout, and Justin, have to figure out. But it's systematically something's not there. And for the first time, I'm going to say this right now. I can't go into a football game going forward saying, okay, go get him. I can't, my confidence in him is not as high. It's there, but it's not as high because now what is the chances of me if it's let's say it's a 51 and I'm up 3. I'm down 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to think about things like that. And now he's 16 and 22, so that makes 70, close to 73%. Well, do the math. That's like 72 point something percent. But I mean, by far, okay, statistically, That's the worst. And he's also missed an extra point, and all 7 of those are wide left. So again, like wide left, that's something from the snap to the hold. That can't be just on Justin. That again. Okay, next. Penalties. I saw this on X, and I thought this was very important to bring up because this lets me know just where I think we are as a coaching, where I'm at with this coaching staff, because these things should have been nipped in the bud, but it's obvious it hasn't. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. So, for example, right, where is that? Our offensive line leads the league in penalties. Patrick McCarry, 12. Ronnie Stanley, 11. Tyler Lindenbaum, 5. Daniel Falele, 6. Roger Rosengarten, 3. Andrew Voorhees, 2. The Ravens lead all NFL teams of penalties 92 and penalty yards 763 so far this season. If that is not discipline, if that's not, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, watching the post game afterwards, I mean, Lamar and John talked about it. I mean, penalty should not be an excuse, but that's what cost you the game. I mean, how many times did you see them stuck in third and long situations because an ineligible man downfield, holding, something, just a stupid call. I mean, like, they were penalized 12 times for 80 yards in this game, and a couple of them came on the kicking return unit. That has been a recurring theme. That does not help when you have starting field position. Like, and you really, and I'm telling you, that is a problem. That's like, if these things should have been nipped in the bud. I don't understand. It's a simple block. Patrick McCarry, for example, in the fourth quarter, was flagged for being an ineligible man down the field. It was a 34-yard pass to Nelson Aguilar, if I remember correctly. The same thing that cost Derrick Henry a 15-yard pass reception prior. Zay Flowers, false start. What happened on the next play? Lamar got sacked. We had to punt. Prior, early in the game, Ronnie Stanley, holding. 3rd and 1. Now you're, after a 6-yard run, now you look at 2nd and 19. Nelson Aguilar, false start. Now again, and I'm not going. And I think also too, context, I think, matters in this regard in terms of the ineligible men down the field penalties, especially with Lamar, because if I'm an offensive lineman, right? So in this case, if I'm like Ronnie Stanley or Patrick or Tyler or Daniel or even Roger, right? As a lineman, I may not know or see if Lamar has taken off based on how the play if the play is developed or not. So, for example, a holding, sometimes it depends on the officiating crew. You might get called for something, but whether it's a holding call or just getting beat, but those are unforced timely errors that cannot happen in the game. You can't do that. You can't come in a football game, starting off, I don't care if it's 1st and 20 or you're 2nd and 19, 3rd and 32. You can't do those things. We shouldn't be at week 11. I don't want to hear, and I saw this, but I can't remember who said that. Maybe Tyler Lindenbaum, somebody said it. Talking about we need to clean. No, it's been 11 weeks. This should have been cleaned up. At some point, this is what you are. Like, this is what's going to come back to bite you in the butt. And guess what happened? It did. And, again, like, and that kind of transitions into my next point. Like, this game as a whole, Lamar talked about the AFC Championship game. I don't care about that. This might have been worse. I'll go back as far as the season we lost to the Colts at home in overtime. That's how this looked. In terms of, this game was self-inflicted. Until the Ravens have a deep look within themselves and understand, okay, I keep getting in the way of what we need to do as a team to win games, you're going to see things like this. It starts with coaching. John Harbaugh was simply outcoached. And there's no excuse for that. I mean, in fairness, I mean, we don't have to look at last year. Let's look at this season. Opening game of the year, Kansas City, Vegas, damn near lost to Dallas. Let me see what else. Cleveland. I mean, those are just a few teams that you can see where you go, you had missed, even though we won in Dallas, but the Raiders, you should have beat them. Cleveland, you should have beat them. Like, just not sticking to what you know in terms of game plan, and more importantly, I think playing down to certain competition. Now, we could talk about now for the interception that Lamar threw. For some context. It was a real route to Justice Hill. Justice Hill caught the ball. I thought, to me, it should have been. I thought that should have been a reviewable play. Maybe I'm wrong in that. Okay. But if you look, rips it out of his hands. I mean, if you've paid attention to his interceptions, they're all literally in his. Mark Andrews against Washington, in Mark Andrews' hands. Rashard Bateman, in his hands. Justice Hill, it's right there in his hands. Peyton Wilson, and then listen, it was a great play. I mean, outside of that, I mean, Derrick Henry had a touchdown. That's great. Zay Flowers, that's great. I mean, I saw some throws that just didn't look that I think Lamar just didn't look comfortable. Lamar just didn't look like Lamar we have seen the last few weeks. I mean, when you look at statistically, did he play piss poor? No. Did he have a good? He didn't have a bad game, but the game he played, he was disappointing. Like I think, like to me, I think that again, my point is this offense are going to run into a physical defense like Pittsburgh, and it got checked respectfully, and especially when you have a guy like Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had 13 carries. I use the same statistic from last year. When we run the ball last year, when we ran the ball 20 more times, I believe we won 11. We won 11-1. At this point, you stick to what works. Now, we played the Chargers and the Eagles before our bye week. Okay. I guarantee, especially against the Chargers, watch the first quarter of the game. That'll tell you the tone offensively, how the game will look for the Ravens. I'm leaving it at that, okay? But I just felt like, for me, especially the first 10 games, when you look how the defenses looked, I think this offense, has shown it can be versatile. I think this offense can score on any team. But again, it just, I guess, a physical defense that can check you, that's very suspect. And I just felt like we abandoned the run game. Pittsburgh was the better team. Well, actually, let me say this. Pittsburgh won this game because of Baltimore being the Baltimore Ravens, being careless, lack of adjustments. Now you went from first place in the division. Now you're the 6th seed. I told you, the window as of last year, in my opinion, I'm still sticking to that, is closed. I think they are first round, second round exit at best. They get to the champion, because I'm at a point I don't want to hear Super Bowl, because the way this team is constructed and just this at times lack of accountability and just the way things have been this year just doesn't make sense to me. Because for me personally, I mean, I still think you can make the playoffs, but to win the AFC North, that now hurts. They now have because Pittsburgh now has a 1.5 game lead above you. You now have to win the next 4 games and have to pray Pittsburgh loses, because Pittsburgh hasn't played anybody else other than Baltimore yet in the rest of the division. Los Angeles Monday night to face Jim Harbaugh, who outlasted the Bengals. Then you got to come back here before Turkey Day and see Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley in the Philadelphia Eagles. Pittsburgh, they got to see the Brownies Thursday night. I think, hear me out, Jameis Winston, Joe Burrow, those 2 teams, the Brownies and the Bengals, they're going to take their frustrations out on Pittsburgh. I just see, especially the way Cincinnati has been playing, especially Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, they're due for a W at some point. Cleveland, especially, they have been playing well. They're doing okay. But I'm curious to see how Pittsburgh looks against those 2. Those are really, now that's your second and third matchup in your division. Again, if you can't figure out how to beat the Steelers, at this point, forget Kansas City. I need you to beat your divisional rival, who's been the big brother, who's been right there for years. Can you beat them too before Kansas City? Because right now I don't see it. So other than that, I just feel like it was just a really, really, really disappointing game, and I'm not surprised. I knew I knew just the way it just looked. The Ravens being the Ravens. And then David Ajabo, and don't get me started with him. I really, Excuse me. I really have my patience is worn out with him because this is another week where he's a healthy scratch. Second round pick back in 2022, and I get it, had the injury, but I don't know if it's just a coaching decision. I mean, in the 8 games, he's only had 1 sack. I mean, he's had 4 quarterback hits. Adissa Isaac has played the second time this season. I mean, like, what? I mean, at this point, I mean, what is he? What is the purpose if you're not going to play him? and with Voorhees, I don't think they want to say it, but I don't think he's healthy. They don't want to say it because they're very in-house, but I don't think Andrew Voorhees is really healthy. As far as this, I'm trying to really stay away from this whole MVP talk stuff. As far as the MVP race, I think Lamar lost some. I think he kind of went down a peg or two. I still think it's going to be between Lamar and Josh Allen. I think when you're now 1-4 against Pittsburgh, you can't defend that. And then on top of that, too, when you watch Josh Allen defeat Patrick Mahomes and snap their 15-game winning streak, that might move you like here. But again, it's week by week. For all I know, Lamar could come out and throw 6 touchdowns next week, and Josh Allen can throw 5 interceptions. I don't know, but that's just I do think Lamar did lose some ground. But again, I really try to stay away from the whole MVP conversation because I think the games speak for themselves, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. But outside of that, this was not surprising, and the Ravens are the Ravens. There are some things that they really need to look at and reflect on, because especially on the penalty side, because I cannot tell you how many the penalties have been a killer. And yeah. But on the Pittsburgh side, though, I didn't really get a little opportunity to talk about them. They really have some dogs over there. I think Patrick Queen, I said it before and I'll say it again. We are going to regret not picking up his 5th-year option. I really find it when he mentioned that they didn't offer him a contract. Let me step on the soapbox for a second. Patrick Queen, I respect you. Respect this game. I think he's probably one of the most unappreciated players here. At the end of the day, it's a business. He was getting better. Once we made the trade for Roquan Smith, the writing was on the wall. He knew that. You can't pay him and Roquan. On top of that, you had to pay 90 Madubuike. Now, if somebody was willing to say, hey, I'm going to take a pay cut to keep him here to play alongside, cool. But no one did that. So I'm sorry that happened. I mean, he can feel that way. He has a right to, but at the end of the day, it's a business. And sometimes you have to take the emotions out of a business. That's just my opinion. But for Pittsburgh, though, even for offensively, for start with Russ, I talked about the interception. It did feel like it was a subpar game. He did test our secondary, but he kind of adjusted to more quick passes or shorter attempts in the second half. I thought that kept their offense more balanced as the game progressed. We already talked about Chris Boswell and 6 for 6. Defensively, they allowed Baltimore 4 on third down conversions and didn't convert on fourth down at all. Forced Jordan Stout to port the ball 4 times. And outside of that, but the penalties just took us out the rhythm. The 2-point conversion, I really don't know what that was. They knew what you were going to run. That's why you have Derrick Henry out there. But what do I know? And oh, by the way, I'm not mad at why he decided to kick the ball off, because he had 3 timeouts. So, you trust your defense, and unfortunately, that didn't happen. We did get to see Justin Fields out there. You give him the Cordell Stewart treatment. So, but yeah, they've been teasing that package for quite some time, and we got to see a little bit of that. So, yeah, that's pretty much the game Sunday. And outside of that, congratulations to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Another divisional game. I thought especially it's always good to see when black and gold versus black and purple always lock horns. And yeah, I'm always enjoying it. I always like to enjoy a divisional rival game. We'll be right back. All right, and some other news that occurred as of recently, the Baltimore Ravens, they signed Desmond King. Desmond King, obviously corner recently for the Houston Texans. I actually like this signing. Y'all know as an All-Pro, he did his thing. He was All-Pro with the Chargers. He played for the Steelers he was with the Texans last season after he was released by Pittsburgh last year. Only played 3 games. So Desmond King is a good player. He's very versatile. I think he can really defend. I think he's very versatile, kind of scrappy, like that. He just really gives depth because Arthur Millette was in a boot. I know he also doubled a calf injury. So we'll see what that will look. Marlon Humphrey, I know especially has been played a lot of nickel snaps, especially in the Sunday game. And now Marcus Williams now officially has been benched, and they have put Darius Washington back there with Kyle Hamilton as the deep safeties. So let's see how that looks. So welcome to the team, Mr. Desmond King. I actually like that for him. So let's see how it looks. But I'm really optimistic about this, and I'm actually seeing how that'll look with Desmond King. I actually was kind of hoping that Bo Brady would have gotten some shine, but his time's coming for us. His time is coming to make some plays. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on for the Ravens in terms of the news. I don't have one final thought other than please like, comment, and subscribe. Please enjoy the content that you're seeing. And again, please stay safe. Go touch grass. I'm going to go cry now. Please like, comment, subscribe. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you.
What was that? What the hell was that? I'm sorry the H words and the D words aren't appropriate over the airwaves, but it's going to be today. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I mean, this is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I just don't know. This is ridiculous.
This is how I believe, okay? I'm from the old school. I believe this. I would rather play with 10 people and just get penalized all the way until we got to do something else, rather than play with 11 when I know that right now that person is not sold out to be a part of this team. It is more about them than it is about the team. I cannot play with them, cannot win with them, cannot coach with them, can't do it. I want winners. I want people that want to win.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
So when are we going to say something about it? You know what? I'm going to walk away. I'll be right back because I'm scared I'm going to say something that might get me in trouble because I'm pissed. I'm pissed.
He didn't even try.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
These are legitimate questions. I don't have answers. I'm starving for answers. I'm starving for them because I don't have them. I'm so disgusted. I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. This is disgusting. It's disgraceful. It's embarrassing. And I'm ticked off. It don't make any sense. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And something needs to be done about it. Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
I'm going to reiterate my comments right here, right now. The clock is officially ticking. The honeymoon is over. Damn your feelings. Who gives a damn? You got a job to do. And the job ain't even a championship. It's to be respectable. And you can't even do that?
And they have normalized this bullshit.